Hello. Gotta give me a second. One person team. Falling apart, jumping back into this after a hot minute. Need to go to the basics of checking and making sure audio balance is solid. Interesting. This would be lowering mic audio, really? Or actually adjusting gain, really? No. It's not. So that way it shouldn't capture nearly as much of the garbage in the background of my house. Oh, that sounds significantly better, honestly. It's not really garbage. It's my heater, which is just keeping me alive in this winter. That does bring back into that's garbage. That was a horn. That was a horn, and we don't appreciate random horns honking in my videos. We're just waiting for some music to turn back on so that way we can check and see if the audio balance is right. Because we don't want it to be too loud that you can't hear me or it's distracting or any of the kind. But we want some vibes. We want some vibes chilling in the background. We like some vibes in the background. Okay. We are crack-a-lackin', snack attacking. Did it. Hi, salutations, my friend. Salutations, my name is Brianna Tsukiyama Bond, otherwise known as No Ordinary Scholar, and it's been a hot minute. Sorry about that. Yeah, went through like hard, aggressive burnout November. Spent the beginning of December struggling to put together, get my life together enough for the book that I was trying to release in December. By the way, Verdad y Consecuencias, book number 4 of the Queen of Thieves series, is officially available for purchase. So be a homie, check that out. And yeah, in the time I did have a video. I did have a video come out, and it was the Romeo and Juliet video, which we're so excited to get the redo of that out, the remake of that video out. But yeah, we're here. We are streaming. We're talking about books. I've not really, we're really not behind on streams. I've quite literally not finished a fiction novel since burnout hit. I've primarily ended up shifting to reading a couple different nonfiction books. We'll talk about the whole thing more when we do our wrap up at the end of the year. But yeah, honestly, probably gonna end up being the last fiction stream I do all year, because I have one fiction book that I'm reading, and you know, we're through burnout, but we're still going slow, so I don't know if I'll be able to get that book finished by the end of the year, because I pretty much just started it anyway, and it's like 500 or 600 pages. It's Chaos by Sydney Damon. Check that out. It's a good book. I beta read for the book for the author at the beginning of the year, so this is my second time reading it through. So yeah, don't know if we'll be doing another fiction stream, but we do still have, we're going to be doing wrap up basically the whole half of the year. We're going to do it all together. We're just going to throw it all together, and then we will have my top 10 reads of the year. Gotta look at that. Not even really sure if I'd have 10 reads I'd want on that, so we'll see what that ends up looking like. And then yeah, then it's 2023, and we've got to figure out what I'm doing as a reader at that point. Hopefully I'll be more in the mood for reading and whatnot, but you know, who knows. But today we are talking about this book right over yonder, The Final Strife by Sara El Arifi. We hope that's how you say it. This book has been, I believe, in like all the writing circles, the writing and reading people, not writing circles, in the reading circles that I'm in, I have seen a lot of love for this book, and I completely agree. I'm not hiding the fact that I loved this book. It's in the thumbnail of the video. Book 2 is on pre-order. I'm so excited. I originally got this book as a library book, got the ebook. I bought recently the ebook and then the audiobook, and I want to listen through and as I read a second time to see. There's at least one video idea that I want to like investigate, research, stuff like that. And that's going to be one. The other would be like doing an analysis of the text to kind of guesstimate or predict what we're going to be seeing going on in book 2. Maybe I'll be completely off. I don't care. I'm just here to have fun. But so that's happened. So I bought the audiobook and the ebook for book 1 and bought the ebook for book 2, or pre-ordered it, and I'm super duper excited for when it comes out. The book, the story. So the world we are in is broken up into 3 different classes of people, all based on their blood. You have the lowest class, which is the ghosting class. Their blood is clear. And the main differentiator between them really is the fact that ghostings, because of a revolution the ghostings had like centuries ago, I think, ever since, the ruling class has been cutting off the ghostings' tongues and hands as punishment for that revolution. And the ghostings are like the lowest of the lowest serving class. Above them is the dusters. They have blue blood, similar to the background of this cover. And they're also like a low working class. Like they work as, I believe they'll have like sex workers. I can't remember if it's dusters or ghostings that are out at like in rubber fields and stuff like that, working on those fields, getting abused and whipped and worked to literal death. But that's the duster class. And then both of those classes live on the opposite end of the main river in the country. City, country, something or other. On the other end of the main river, on the main hub side of the river, is the Ember class. That is the ruling class, though that class itself is split up into 2 different levels. This is the wealthy and then the working class. They have red blood, and they are the ruling class because it said Embers are the only class that is able to create runes. They use their blood to create runes, and those runes can blood work or can cause magic, like do things. The runes can do things, and they call it blood work. And so that is the class system of the world that we live in. They have this event called, I believe, the Act Bar. And in this event, you have, I believe it's every 5 years, the 4 wardens that lead different areas of society they quote unquote retire, and their apprentices step up to the position of warden. Then you have the Akbar to have a major competition to see who is going to be the next apprentice. So we're coming into this in the time right as the Akbar is about to start. Our main character, Shyla, is of this group referred to as the Stolen, or I believe their group is the Final Strife. The kids in the group are the Stolen. What happened was there was a period of time a while ago, approximately like 18 years ago, where the Dusters used to be servants to the Embers, but a group of them got this plan together where they decided we are going to kidnap Ember children and replace them with Duster children. And these Embers that we took and brought away, we are going to we're going to train them as aggressively as possible, so that way when they become of age, they can enter the Akbar and take over the leadership roles, but from a position of, we're going to revolutionize the world, so that way we are not abusing 2/3 of the entire people, you know? And so Shyla, before they got even fully of age, before all of the kids got fully of age, there was an incident and most of the kids died. So ever since, Shyla has almost pretty much given up on the idea. She's also gotten into drug addiction. But once the Akbar comes around, she decides she's gonna go across the river and sign herself up. But first she wants to see the child that is in the life she should have had. And so she goes to, she has been told her life she is the daughter of the Warden of Crime. And that's why she has been so exceedingly proficient when it comes to fighting and arms. So she is the Warden of Crime's daughter. So she breaks into the place that the Warden of Crime's daughter is living. But there are precautions set up. She gets knocked out, misses the opportunity to compete in the Akbar, or to sign up for the competition. Instead, makes a deal with the daughter of the girl who's been living as the daughter of the Warden of Crime. I will help you to win the Akbar. Her main goal was to try and learn enough about bloodwork in order to help someone else figure out how to bloodwork so they could actually win. But as time goes on, Honor, who is the girl who's been living as the daughter of the Warden of Crime, Honor slowly, realizes that while she herself has always wanted to go into that position with the goal of bringing equality to the people, she realizes how little she even actually knows about what the other people of this world go through. And so it's a process of them learning about each other's lives, and how Honor, while she comes off as kind of just spoiled and ignorant, she has had her share of absolute shit that she dealt with, really. That's truly the only way to put it, because oh my god, her mother sucks. The mother sucks. But it's acknowledging that she's had she's had to deal with, as well as Honor understanding where she, that she does have that privilege, that she doesn't know as much as she thinks she does, and that the world has made that intentional, that they have intentionally made it so she doesn't see how bad they are treating the other people in this world. And so you see them bonding, getting closer, you see them both growing as people as they go through this competition. There's honestly so much more about this book, but I feel like I would end up spending truly the whole of this stream simply on description if I go any more in depth. And I want to talk about some of the things I'm obsessed with in this book. Number one, world building. Oh, I truly so invested and just caught up and obsessed and eager for more of this world, of the descriptions of the rune work, the blood work, of the of the classes, of how the world came to be. It's called the Ending Fire series because the story is that there was a massive fire destroying the whole world, and so some people of primarily embers, but they had their little dusters and ghosting servants, traversed the aggressive and brutal and deadly oceans to escape the ending fire, and they managed to survive and find this land and build this land up from the beginning. And a thing that I really love about the way this world building was done, and it was very similar. I saw the same thing done in The Monsters We Defy, where it's a thing that I always struggle with books, particularly tends to be fantasies, is it's so hard to get in world building and so hard to get in exposition in a natural way. And a thing I really love that these two books did is pretty much just step back from the story and have a completely separate section where they're hey, here is going to be a completely separate, it's not going to be a character explaining the story, it's not going to be us reading a text with the history. We are just going to step back, go into a new chapter, and that chapter is exclusively just actually telling the story of whatever history. In The Monsters We Defy, it was literally a new chapter that is just using the same writing style, but it's kind of a flashback, or it's just a glimpse into a different moment in time, and that is how we get to see the history of it. And I thought that was really, really great. And in here we see a lot of, at the beginnings of chapters, you have these poetic pieces told by their bards. I forgot what their actual names were, but it was a bard type of person telling a story, and it had symbols to show where the bard was hitting drums for rhythms. I loved that. On top of that, going off of that, the writing of the book was absolutely fantastic. It was just great. I have so many aspects of the writing that I just was highlighting and crying over, and I want to share some of them. I marked some that I absolutely wanted to talk about. Here's one. It's from The Warden of Crime. Or, have I been saying The Warden of Crime this whole time? No, it was Warden of Strength is what I meant this whole time. There is a Warden of Crime, but that is an unofficial warden position, and this is what the Warden of Strength has said about the Warden of Crime. And so it's basically a cop saying about it's something like a cop or something would say about a gang member they're in line with or that they're working with. I I have followed the life of the man who calls himself the Warden of Crime. I watched him navigate the crime lords across the empire to become their leader. Yesterday, I held an audience with him. My officers will not arrest those that were his symbol. In turn, we take a share of his profits from his smuggling ventures, including the distribution of hoba seeds and fire rum. It's important that the No-Works believe that there is a resistance to our rule. The belief that someone else is opposing our laws has lessened uprisings within the plantations. Hope is an important driver in productivity. And oh my... I hate that. Like, I hate how true that is. Ugh. I also love the way they describe blood work. It's like you create a rune that, and these specific runes act as an act of physics, if that makes sense. Like here's a description. Yuka spoke into a bloodwork sound projector, the rune Ru pushing out the sound vibrations. So it is this rune physically pushing out the sound, and that's what makes the blood work, the physics and the magic system of the runes in this book work, is that it's any of these runes actively portray a act of physics, a push, a pull. They specify the other two, but I genuinely can't remember what the specifications were, but it's that type of thing. There's a rune that pushes, a rune that pulls, and then everything outside of, and everything how you break off of for different more complex rune works, blood work, runes and symbols and acts are based off of those basic principles. And I loved seeing how that like followed through, especially with the character Shyla, our main character. She is learning rune work, blood work. She's learning blood work, and so we get to see her kind of break down what these runes are doing as she marvels at the act of it, and that also tells us what's going on and breaks it down for us. And I really love the way the blood work was created and done. It was so cool. Another amazing line from this book: 2 moon cycles they protested, 2 moon cycles they tried peacefully to influence change. Now you want a villain, I'll give you 1,000. Such a great line. I believe that is actually from, yes, that is from the one of those like bard tellings of history. And it's also because we also get to see other perspectives of that event later on throughout the story, and it makes me scream. Another amazing aspect of the, or like quote from the book that rattled him. He pushed his chest higher, his chin tilted back. No, I just wasn't born into an Emir family. The answer confused Shyla. She never really considered wealth to be a divisive factor in an Ember's life. They had all seemed so powerful to her. Certainly, they were all wealthier than Dusters. Papa ingrained in them that every single Ember was part of an infection that riddled the body of the Empire. And when a limb grows rotten and gangrenous, what must you do? Amputate. They might have luxury, but did they truly have freedom? Is this moment of having the character understand intersectionality. And yes, they are of a race that definitely has far more than Dusters, that definitely has far more than ghostings, but they are also separated by wealth. They are separated and put into servitude by the wealthy of their race, of their blood type. And that is something that is also an oppressing factor in the lives of most of these people, because he's saying no, I wasn't born into a mere family. That is in response to basically her asking why he and why other people don't just all participate in the Akbar. Why, like, was he just not good enough or something like that? And this is her realizing the different levels and the different, like, traits that they oppress in this empire. Here's another one where it kind of talks about how, like, Shyla is now being able to, like, understand the runes. Shyla went to the bath and began to fill it. She was still mesmerized by the bloodwork runes that pushed the water from the kitchens below. Now she could read them. They only fascinated her more. And, like, same. Learning languages, I feel this. Another amazing quote. Anor had hazy memories of the man who raised her in her early years. A man with a beard that tickled and eyes that laughed. Like, that's just good writing. That's just good writing. And then here's the last one that I have, and that, like, oh my god, this is such a good descriptor of kind of it honestly, this might not be like a common experience for like healthy people, but the experience of kind of realizing how shitty something in your life has happened, specifically by hearing someone say that they went through something similar and knowing you would never want them to go through it. She locked you in a cupboard, Shyla said through clenched teeth. She knew you had mistreated her, misused her, but this was something Papa would have done. The thought struck her, seeing her childhood through a stranger's eyes for the first time. Like, oh my god. The writing of this book was absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait for book 2. It's gonna be a trilogy. I'm so excited. The characters now. I thought the characters and their arcs and their changes and their developments was so good. Like at the start of the book, it was very clear that like they were going to have a romance between Shyla and Anor, and I wasn't into it because Shyla was mean, and like I'm okay with a grumpy sunshine, but she was just being mean to Anor, and you know, I wanted Anor to not be bullied her entire relationship, but the arc and seeing them both change and grow and develop together, you got me. I also love them as a relationship, and then the ending happened, and honestly, I feel hurt. I feel betrayed by this ending. Like, I get it. It makes sense, and it's really well done, and it's great for the story. I don't care. You made me sad. Other things that made me sad. There's a character who is not even, like, we don't even have, if we don't, like, Shyla and Anor, main characters, of course, but we also have Hassa, who I would also consider, like, if not a main character, she is, like, a main character adjacent. And then you have John, who is, like, secondary, tertiary character. Mayflower. I believe their name is Mayflower. Where is it? Where's, yeah. Nope, absolutely not. It's absolutely not Mayflower. It's Marigold. I'm so sorry. Marigold. Marigold is maybe a tertiary character, but I was so connected with them. And then they died, and it hurt. It hurt so bad. It hurt so bad. Like, I'm not even joking. I was not okay when Marigold died. And you just have to continue reading the book as if that didn't happen. And as if we're just supposed to move on for that. And I wasn't okay. I was not ready for that. And you know, that's how you know You're writing good characters, but also could you not be that mean to me, please? And then the last thing that I want to talk about is the author's handling of drug abuse. I really, really liked you had these different perspectives with Shyla, the person that was the abuser that is going through withdrawals. And then you had Anor, who is a person that knows from a clinical sense about the situation. But, like, even then, it's from a relatively surface level clinical sense. And so seeing this person that does have the genuine care to, like, not want Shyla to be using these drugs because it will kill her, but not fully being able to process why someone would, as well as why addiction happens. There is an argument that you have in the book where Anor is saying that something along the lines of dusters and or ghostings, I don't remember if both were in the conversation, but they try less or something like that because statistically drug addiction and drug overdose happens more in dusters than in embers. And Shyla goes off on her and says that's because, like, the teas that I've had every single day since I stopped, those aren't, like, embers can afford those teas. Embers have access to those teas. Dusters don't. Dusters don't have access to the education that tells them why it's so dangerous to use these drugs. And, like, dusters do not have access to the medical care in the event that they do start to overdose. They don't have access to care that will keep them alive. And alongside that, a thing that I really like, that it happened at the end, and so we don't really see the full follow through with it, but I expect that we will see that follow through in the following books, and I really do trust this author to do it well. Spoiler alert, with regards to Shyla's Hobasito abuse, at the end of the book, she is told by a doctor that she has to keep taking a small amount of the drug because her aggressive use of it in the past has done so much damage to her body that her body needs it to survive. She is probably always going to be having spasms and stuff like that. And a thing that I think we'll see in the future is how constantly re-traumatizing it is to be mentally at a point where you are no longer, like, in that self-destructive space, and that led you to want to use drugs as aggressively. And you're to be in a space where you want to get past that, but the side effects that are permanent within your body, within your mind, those things constantly re-traumatizing you, reminding you of being in that place, reminding you of what you've done to yourself. It can also make you feel like there's no hope, that there's no chance of getting better, that you'll always be that person. And so that's something I look forward to seeing and reading in the next few books. It's a trilogy, I believe. So yeah, that is, I didn't switch pages. I was supposed to switch pages at some point because I made this pretty graphic. I made this whole pretty graphic for the book with some cute images. But yeah, that is the final Strife. What is the next book called? Like the beating drum? Something to do with drums. Boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats. The battle drum. book 2 of the Ending Fire trilogy. Yeah, so that's something exciting to look forward to, because it comes out next year. When does it come out? May of next year. So very possible that we will be reading through that next year and getting to chat about that on stream. But that is all from me. As I said before, book 4 of the Queen of Thieves. I struggle with speaking. Book 4 of the Queen of Thieves series, Verdad y Consecuencias, is available for purchase. So you should check that out. You should also follow me places. You can follow me here. I highly recommend on Twitter. Firestorm2343 is my handle over there. I guess you can follow me on Instagram in the event that Twitter collapses. Also Firestorm2343 there. It's that on every platform that I'm on, really. But follow me to keep updates about other books, about my next book that should be coming out next year, my autistic cheerleader romance. Keep an eye out for that. And then yeah, it's primarily Twitter if you want to see me just chilling and vibing and being a dork. Like, that's really the only one I actively engage with. Other than that, check out my other videos. Romeo and Juliet video is my last one. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, valedictions, friends.